Hey everybody, thanks for joining me. I'm Mike Drotis, Bible teacher and preacher. You've tuned into my YouTube channel, Solving the Prophetic Puzzle. Recently, Israel celebrated a birthday. That's right, the nation of Israel now is 74 years old. They were reestablished. They did something that no one thought was possible except God, and He told us in the Bible that it would happen. God brought back the people of Israel. God brought back a nation. A nation was born in a day. And in 1948, when that happened, the prophetic time clock began to tick once again. We are seeing Bible prophecy be fulfilled right before our eyes. We are right on the verge of seeing the 7-year tribulation period. We are very near to the rapture. We are very near to seeing the Antichrist, the man of sin, come on the scene. We are very near to seeing the two prophets mentioned in the book of Revelation make their appearance on the scene. All these things are right before us, and we are moving faster and faster towards these events. You see, as I said earlier, Israel is the nation to watch. If you want to know what God is up to, look at the nation of Israel. Israel is the time clock, so to say. In Daniel was praying about his nation. He lived in Israel, and Nebuchadnezzar and the Babylonians conquered Israel, and they took Israel away, and Daniel was in captivity, and he was praying to God about his nation. He was praying if they would ever be released from captivity, and if they could go back to their land. One time, while Daniel was praying about this, in Daniel chapter 9, he records that Gabriel came and spoke to Daniel. Let me read that for you. In Daniel chapter 9, as he is praying, the angel Gabriel comes to him, and he says this: "At the beginning of your supplication, the command went out, and I have come to tell you, for you are greatly beloved. Therefore consider the matter and understand the vision." So the angel Gabriel is going to tell Daniel what's going to happen to his nation. Verse 24, 70 weeks are determined for your people and for your holy city, to finish the transgression, to make an end of sin, to make reconciliation for iniquity, to bring in everlasting righteousness, to seal up visions and prophecies, and to anoint the most holy. The angel Gabriel was speaking to Daniel, who was a Jewish man, and Daniel understood what 70 weeks meant. We might not understand what 70 weeks means. But they were talking about a Shmita cycle. 70 Shmita cycles are determined for your people. 70 times 7, 490 years are determined for your people. The angel Gabriel went on to say in verse 25, "Know therefore and understand that from the going forth of the command to restore and build Jerusalem and to Messiah the Prince, there shall be 7 weeks and 62 weeks. In other words, 69 weeks, 483 years. Will go ahead and be established. From you will be released. You will go back and rebuild the temple. Messiah will come, and then he will be cut off. That will be 483 years. And that's exactly what happened. And then the nation of Israel was scattered. Once again, they were scattered abroad until May 14th, 1948. They came back as a nation. But you see, there's still 1 week left. There's still one 7-year period left. There's still one 7-year Shemitah time frame left. And that's what I wanted to talk to you about today. Since 1948, at the start of Israel, we are now in the 10th Shemitah cycle. We are in the 10th Shemitah cycle. 10 is used 242 times in the Bible. 10 is viewed as a complete and perfect number, such as 3, 7, and 12. 10 equals 4, the number of physical creation, plus 6, the number of man. 10 signifies testimony, law, responsibility, and get this, completeness of order. We are in the 10th Shemitah cycle. We are actually in the last year of the 10th Shemitah cycle right now. This last year started September 6, 2021, and we are nearing the end of the 10th Shemitah cycle since Israel has come back as a nation. You may be saying, what are you talking about? I'm saying that 10 means completeness of order. The next Shmita cycle will begin this September, and it will be the 11th Shmita cycle since Israel has come back as a nation. 11 means chaos, disorder, judgment. It comes after 10, which means laws and responsibilities. It represents the opposite, which is irresponsibility or breaking the law, which brings disorder and judgment. Are we headed for a 7-year period of chaos, disorder? I believe we are. I believe that in September of 2022, we will enter into the 11th Shmita cycle. That's a fact. We will enter into this Shmita cycle, this 7-year period, and it could be the beginning of that 70-year or 7-year tribulation period that we know also as Daniel's 70th week. There's 1 week left for the Jewish nation, 1 7-year period. After that 7-year period, you would have the 12th Shmita cycle since Israel became a nation. That's going to start in 2029. 12 is interesting. 12 is found 187 times in the Bible. 12 is a perfect number. 12 is symbolic. It symbolizes God's power and authority, as well as serving a perfect governmental foundation and a symbolic completion of Israel. So here we are. Now we're in May of 2022. There are 4 months away from starting the 11th Shmita cycle, a 7-year period. Could that be Daniel's 70th week? Can it be the 7-year tribulation period? Is it going to be 7 years of chaos? We know that the 70th week begins in Daniel 9:27. When we're referring to the Antichrist at this moment, then he shall confirm a covenant with many for 1 week. 1 week. And in the middle of the week, he shall bring an end to a sacrifice and offense, and sacrifice and offering. And on the wing of abomination shall be one who makes desolate. We know when the 7-year tribulation begins, when the man of sin makes a covenant with the many. We know the midpoint when he goes into the temple and desecrates it and makes an abomination. And we know when it ends, when Jesus Christ returns. These things we know. We just don't know if it's going to be sooner than or later. What else do we know? Matthew chapter 24. Remember how I was talking about Israel being the fig tree nation, or the prophetic time clock? Jesus referred to them as the fig tree generation, or the fig tree. Now learn the parable from the fig tree. When its branches has already become tender, I'm in Matthew chapter 24, verse 32. When its branches become tender and puts forth leaves, you know that summer is near. So you also, when you see all these things, know things know that it is near, at the door. Assuredly I say to you, this generation will by no means pass away till all these things take place. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will by no means pass away. Jesus was saying that when the fig tree begins to blossom and bloom and leaves begin to come forth on it, you know that summer is near. The fig tree began to blossom. The fig tree began to have leaves on May 14th, 1948. So the question is, how long is a generation? Well, the Bible says different things at different time periods. In the Old Testament, a generation was 40 years when the children of Israel had to walk around the desert. Other places, it's longer. In Psalm chapter 90, we have reference to the length of a generation. Psalm 90, verse 10. The days of our lives are 70 years, and if by reason of strength they are 80 years. Yet their boast is only labor and sorrow, for it is soon cut off, and we fly away. I've always been interested in that term, after 80 years, we fly away. Is this a clue to the rapture? Is this a clue that a generation in this case is 70 or 80 years, and then we fly away? 80 years from 1948 would put us in the vicinity of 2028, the end of the 11th Shmita cycle. There is so much that we have to still look at and still watch for. But the point I'm trying to make today is, don't be discouraged. People say, Israel's been around now for over 70 years and nothing's happened. Oh, lots has happened. You just don't see it. It's in the unseen realm. It's happening. Things are beginning to develop. It's like planting a seed in the soil. You plant it and nothing seems to happen until one day, one night, instantly the seed bursts forth. That's what's going to happen in Bible prophecy. That it is beginning to burst forth. We're going to begin to see Bible prophecy be fulfilled like popcorn. Something's going to happen here. Something's going to happen there. Things are going to be popping up all over the place. My encouragement to you is to be ready, to keep watching, to draw closer to God. Be rapture ready. Jesus Christ is coming soon. Hey, thanks for watching. If you haven't liked or subscribed yet, please do. Every week I do 1 or 2 videos on the end times, on Bible prophecy, on the rapture, or whatever the Lord leads me to do. Sometimes I share a dream or a vision. But I can assure you of this, it's going to be good. So God bless you. Keep looking up. Jesus Christ is coming soon.